So I don't know if my parents had or why they had the foresight to put outlets like right next to the dining table, because this kitchen was like made before, or at least very early in the laptops era. Like, I don't think there were many laptops when I don't know even if they had laptops themselves when they made this kitchen. So I'm a little bit curious about why did they put outlets there? I don't really know what you do on a dining room table with an outlet if you didn't think that you were going to sit here with a laptop, which I don't think that they were thinking at that time, but I don't know. Anyway, today we're going to continue the work on the app. Let's start the screen. So this is where we're at. We have the voice animation. We have some buttons here that shouldn't really be there. I think the next step, right now there's one thing that I'm a little bit unsure of, like when you press join channel is when we actually join the channel, and that's where we can get the audio for the waveform animation. But really this should probably be on one page, and then when you press join channel you should go to another page that has the waveform animation. So I think we're going to do that today. We're going to build out the whole thing that goes from this original page, the home page or whatever it's going to be, to the actual call page, and we're going to push a new page onto the screen, and that's the screen that we're going to design and also implement the functionality of actually opening up, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's start looking a little bit at what we have and how we can do that. Because I'm not sure if we can access the audio data if we're on another screen, or if we can do a call when we're on another screen, like how that all works when we do it. So let's try to look at our code and see if we can figure it out. Okay, so something I'm a little bit unsure of here is if the logic for the phone call should be on this page, or if it should be, so basically the logic for the actual phone call, like joining and leaving the phone call, should that be on, it should probably be on a different page actually, I realize. This should probably just be like a button that takes us to the page, and if we get to the page, then the phone call should be joined. I need to think about this. Hallå? 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 Hallå, hallå, hallå? 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 Okay, so now we actually get... Okay, so now we get... we basically made the page, which is really good. We have a leave channel button, so we can just go back and we're out of this channel, and then we can go back in and we're back in to the conversation. And we have the little prompts here for our conversation. So would you rather go skiing or snorkeling? And then we have, would you rather eat pizza or burgers? So we have the page pretty much set up, I think. Um, hmm. Hmm, hmm, hmm. It's a bit strange because on the phone it completely goes all over the place, which it doesn't do on the simulator. So I don't know if that's a bug or what that is. But I don't know. That's a bit strange. 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 Hallå? 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 Okay, so there's some sort of bug on the phone where I'm not really sure what's happening, but it's as if sometimes there's, I don't know, I don't think you guys can see this, but sometimes there's waveform indications on the screen, but they go way above the actual circle. So I don't know what that is or how that happens, because it doesn't happen on the simulator. Okay, so the camera died mid-sentence there, but I think there's some sort of bug. Really, I don't think that it should be doing anything on this phone, because this phone doesn't seem to receive, or it shouldn't really be receiving any audio, because the microphone on the simulator on the computer doesn't send anything. So I don't know why it goes crazy, but I'm just going to ignore that for now. And we're going to leave that here as a way to kind of test that it actually provides us with some sort of audio data here, which it does. And I think that this looks pretty good at this point. What but the next part of this should be is we want to have some sort of way to leave. the conversation. And we don't want to have it say leave channel, because in the app, the way that it's going to work is you're not going to join a specific channel. You're going to get randomized with someone. And oh, it just started snowing outside. You're going to get randomized with someone, or randomly put together with someone. And then you're going to have a little conversation. But there has to be some way for you to bail out of the conversation. So there has to be like a hang up button or something. I think. I haven't really decided how that's going to work. So maybe I have to think about that a little bit. It should be like a ditch button where you're like, okay, I'm ditching this conversation. Maybe I need to draw this in order to understand it myself. Okay, so we can start by just designing that button a little bit, which we can do in Adobe XD. Okay, so design-wise, I'm not really sure what would make the most sense. I want the users to be really aware that they can leave at any point. It sounds like I'm making a crazy app. I'm not really, but it still has to be a feature that you can leave a conversation. So that has to be available. I think the way that would make most sense is to make it similar to a regular phone call where you just where you can just hang up. And I think most people recognize the red symbol for hanging up. So I feel like it would make sense to keep this red, even though it kind of stands out and makes the whole design not that beautiful. But I don't really know where to place it because I feel like it needs to be big so that it's obvious, like, okay, I can just press this button and I'm out. But I also don't want it to really just take over the entire design. I feel like if it's there, then it sort of takes over a little bit. But again, like if we move it somewhere, like up here, that will look better. But it also maybe is less obvious for people. So maybe it's not as clear that you can just leave if you press that button. I don't really know. Okay, I feel like that's going to be the best option. I'm not a UX specialist, so I don't know that that's a really good idea, but I don't want it to take over the entire screen. I feel like we already have a few things that kind of clutter. Oh shit. That clutter the screen. So having a big leave button might not be the best idea. It might be better to just have it up here. Yeah, I think that makes sense. The only thing is I just realized that this comes as a one, like it's a pair. So it's not one button here and one waveform thing. It's just I add both of those things onto the screen on top of this other screen, if that makes sense. Which means that right now I can't separate these two. I can't be like, okay, this goes up here because the design of this looks like that. I could work around that by just, how do I do this? Okay, I just realized something. Wait. Hallå. Hallå. Hallå? Okay, so far we have this page basically done. Maybe it doesn't look great. Like I said, I'm not a UI or UX designer, so bear with me. But this will be the basic setup for this page. And if you're tired of the conversation, you can press leave. Now, the way that that's actually going to work is when you press leave, you're gonna go into, so the idea is that it's gonna be a timer essentially. You're gonna have like 5 minutes per conversation. And if you decide to press leave before the end of that timer, then I guess you'll have to end up in some sort of like waiting room for the next person to join. I realize that this is hard to explain without you actually knowing what the full idea of the app is, but so you're gonna have to accept that maybe you won't understand everything. I don't know how to do this, but that's the idea. You're gonna be in a conversation for, let's say, 5 minutes, and when those 5 minutes is up, you get into a different room with a different person, and then you're going to talk to them for 5 minutes, and that's how it's going to go. But if you want to leave before then the next person that's queued up for you will be in a different conversation probably, so you won't just be able to go straight into that conversation. You have to wait for that person to finish that conversation, and then you can join that conversation, which is, I think, the best solution that I've come up with for this problem. It's a problem of I'm trying to think like how much I can say without saying too much. Maybe I've said enough. I don't know. We're going to have a waiting room, I think, which is just a just in case. Just in case you leave, then you'll have a waiting room. If you do press leave, then I also want there to be some sort of rating system that you can do. Like, let's say that you talk to someone and they're like hostile or something, then I want there to be some sort of reporting or rating system so that you can actually report this person for being hostile or offensive in some sort of way. This is not like a political correctness type thing. It's just a thing that I think is fairly reasonable, because the idea from the start was that I wanted to have some sort of bank ID verification, which is something that we have in Sweden. I think this exists all over the world, but it's basically you identify yourself, so you're actually like accountable for your actions on the app. But seeing as that is something that I don't know how easy it is to start doing that. I think it's actually quite a process to start doing that, and maybe you have to pay for it, I think. That means that the second best thing is going to have to be that the users can report other users, I think. And you sign up with a phone number, which is another thing that I think I'm going to be able to add. I'm not sure, but I think I'm going to be able to add that. And if you sign up with a phone number, then that can sort of work as an ID of some kind. And in that case, if you have a phone number which ties to you as a person in some way, then when someone leaves and then they report you for like, well, this person was screaming offensive words at me or threatening me or whatever, which obviously might be the case if there's lots of users. That's always going to be a risk factor. So what could happen then is that you could have a rating system after you leave, and you could say that this person did X, Y, or Z, or you could just have some sort of system at least to make sure that the users can actually feel safe on the platform and know that people can't just do whatever they want. There will be some sort of accountability on this app. And that's going to be the idea for what's going to show up when you press the leave button. And then you're going to get into the next conversation after that. But it has to be a pretty fast thing, because let's say that you leave after like 4 minutes and 49 seconds, and you only have 10 seconds until the next call, then you have to be it has to be possible to be pretty fast. Oh my God, this is actually difficult, I just realized. Because what if, let's say that the idea is 5 conversations with 5 people, 5 minutes with each conversation, and then it ends. And what if you spend 4 minutes and 49 seconds talking to this person, and then at the end of it, they start like being super strange and doing weird things, and you leave the conversation and you start to report them, then you'll have 10 seconds until the next person joins your conversation. So either you'll have to have a system that's so easy to do that you just report someone and we ban them from the platform straight away, which isn't that great, I don't think, because that will mean that some people might get banned for no reason, because some people will just report to be stupid. And so what that means is that we have to have some sort of system where people can actually add some details about why am I reporting this person, but it has to be fast enough so that the other person that's going to join this conversation doesn't have to then sit and wait for you to finish reporting for 10 minutes and then you'll join the conversation. So I don't know how that's going to work. And I don't know if you understand why this is a problem, what the problem actually is. But yeah, I don't know how to solve that. Okay, I'm going to have some lunch and I'm going to think about that for a second and maybe come back with some sort of solution to it. All right, I've had some lunch and 4 scrambled eggs and some frozen vegetables, just boiled, so like peas, carrots, those sort of things. In case you want to know, I thought maybe some people might. Okay. So I haven't really come up with a good way to solve it. The idea is that it's basically going to be like a session in the app, so like a call session, and that lasts for a specific amount of time and it starts at a specific time. And this is so that we can combat the problem of like, for me to be able to talk to someone, there has to be someone else out there ready to talk to me. And so I don't know, like, okay, I'm going to say it's going to be somewhat similar to things like Omegle and Chat Roulette. Fairly similar, I guess. But the problem with that, I don't really know how they solved. I've never actually used either of those, so I don't know how they really work. I've just seen them on like shorts or reels on Instagram, and I don't really know how it worked. So I don't know, because from what I understand how it works, actually I could just Google this, but for the sake of just like, maybe it's fun for me to try to explain how I think it works, and then we'll see how it actually works. But how I think it worked is that you log on, or you get into the thing where you see a webcam of someone, and then you can press like next to go to another person, and then someone else will pop up. But I don't know how they solved the issue of like, it seems to me that either there has to be exactly what is the issue? So if we have 10 people, no, let's say that we have 4 people, just to make it easier. We have 4 people. I log on to this app, which means that before I log on, there's 3 users on there. How do I explain this? So there's 3 users on there. I log on, now we're 4 users. I start chatting to person 1. Actually, let's zoom in on this so that we can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, so 4 users in this app. I am one of them. I log on and I connect with this user. So we start talking, and while we're connected and talking, these 2 are also talking. But what if I'm like, okay, I'm done with this conversation, I'll press next, then I'll end up like severing our connection. So this person will end up alone, I will end up alone, but these 2 aren't finished yet. So that means that there's no one else really out there for me to talk to. So I don't know how they solved that, because what I've seen on the shorts and the reels is like people press next and there's someone there all like straight away. I don't know if that's just that they edit the shorts and they don't obviously include when you're waiting for someone to connect. But that is the issue of that whole thing, is like either you sit and you wait for people to log on or for people to become available. So even if we're an even number of people or users on the app, it means that if we don't regulate how much time you spend together, then this will happen a lot, where people will be like waiting for someone else to pop off a call so that they can connect and I can connect to the new one. I think that was a pretty good metaphor with the hands. But my solution to this is that we have a set time for the call. So we know that, like, let's say that we have 10 spots available for this session. Let's say 4 for now, but like 4 spots available for the session. And then we decide that the session is going to be like 60 minutes long, or let's say 50 minutes long. And each conversation is 5 minutes. Like you get 5 minutes per person. So that means that we have 5 minutes here, and this person has 5 minutes. And then once the 5 minutes is up, because it's a universal time-based system, which means that the 5 minutes starts at the same time for all users. It means that once that 5 minutes starts, it starts for both or all 4 users. Then once the 5 minutes is up, it just switches, and like I get to connect to this user instead, and vice versa. So we are now talking, and then you can do this connection as well. So there's going to be, I don't know how many conversations, I have to think about that more properly, but that would basically solve the fact that no one's going to end up just waiting or hanging around, waiting for someone else to connect, because as soon as the 5 minutes is up, we just switch straight away, and that will work. But then we have the issue now, which is what I'm dealing with, which is what if I want to leave the conversation early because I'm like, someone is being mean, teasing me or something, and I want to leave the conversation early, so I leave. Then we end up in this situation where both of us are now waiting for the 5 minutes to be up for these people, and then we'll connect and we can move on. But in this space, what do we do? Like, how do we deal with that? Do we have, it has to be some sort of wait screen. But there's lots of issues that come with that, because there's not just the issue of what do we do while we wait. It's the issue of, if we want to report people Because it could just be that you just want to leave the conversation. You're not interested in continuing the conversation. You just want to leave, and you want to wait for the next one to start. And that could be one scenario. In which case, you might just press like, no reason for why I ended the call. I just was tired of the conversation or something. But what if people catch on to the system and they know that, okay, because people will game, I think, any sort of system, and people will do bad things, I think. So it's always good to just try to be prepared for it and try to think of like, how could someone exploit or do something not good with a system like this? And one way to do that would be to figure out that, well, if there's only 10 seconds left in this 5-minute session that we're in, then even if I say the most horrible stuff to this person, they will only have like 10 seconds to report me before the call switches and they move on to the next person. So then the question is, how do we deal with that? Do we make the system just like a report that you can like press, I'm going to report this person. They get kicked out of the total session with all the other users. And after the session, you can then, you get a pop-up window that says, why did you report this person? And you can do a more thorough explanation. That's one solution to it. Another solution is just to have like multiple choice. So you could be, you could do multiple choice. What happened? Were you just not interested in the conversation? Was this person abusive? Was this person whatever? And depending on those replies, we might decide to kick that person out of the session or not. I don't know if this makes too much sense, but I hope it does. Because that's what I'm thinking is the problem. The wait screen, I think we need to have a wait screen of some kind. But the other option, or the main issue is, how do we report people? How is that system going to work? And we need to have a system for it. I just don't know how to make it work. I do read all the comments, so if you have any suggestions for this, even though there's a strong possibility I might have already moved on from this by the time that you see this video, I would really appreciate it, because I've thought about this before and I don't really know a solution to it. I think maybe I need to research how apps in general deal with reporting. Because once I know that, then I can go downstream or upstream from there and figure out what would be needed for this app. Okay, I actually have to go now, I realized. Didn't really plan this day too properly, but I have to go. So we're going to stop there, and we're going to come back tomorrow. I'm going to stop with a book tip, actually, because I've started reading a book by Stephen King, where he talks about writing. I think if you just search Stephen King on writing or something like that, and that's a really good book. He's one of the most productive writers, I think, out there, although he brings up in the book himself like examples of other people who are way more productive than he is, but he's pretty known to be able to produce like so many books that it's kind of insane. And he explains his routine, which comes back to the routine that I've been following now, which is based on, I think, my own intuition a little bit, combined with Cal Newport's book about slow productivity, combined with ideas from this Stephen King book as well. And I think he has this thing where he got up in the morning, the first thing that he did was write 2,000 words, and he had to do that every single day. It didn't matter what day it was or how long it took, he just had to write 2,000 words per day. And what he says is, many days he was out and doing errands and stuff by 11 a.m., which sounds pretty good to me. And he was still a very productive writer, and he says that, I think there's also an interview with him where he says something like he writes 3 or 4 hours per day, and he tries to stick to that goal no matter what. Now I have done about 2 hours today, I think. But I think that's the general sentiment there is a really good thing to stick to like make sure that you do something every day, but don't overdo it. Don't do the full 10-hour days, which I've talked about before. Anyway, I think that's a really good book, and I highly recommend reading it. See you tomorrow, or in the next video.